Hey there. Number 3, as we can see, we're going to just do a tinsel review, okay, with some basic stuff here too when you're trying to map things out and how things should be in terms of their setup, is where really is right and where is left, okay? So as I am looking to you, even you would say, you would like, if I'm looking at you, I'm on stage and I have these speakers in back of me. This looks like my right, and this is my left. This is obviously my right hand, this is my left hand. But to the sound engineer who's looking at it differently, these front of house speakers, which these are, the setup that we have here, is going to be the opposite. So, for example, this speaker is my right speaker. That is my left. That's how I'm looking at it. Okay, my right, it's my right side, my left. Okay, so that's the front of house left, front of house right. So yeah, it's a little wacky, but that's, again, how you're looking at it when you're setting it up. Now we're going to look at hooking up the mixer. So here's our PreSonus mixer that we used in the last setups. And I'm not going to go into functionality of the mixer in this video. I'll do that in another one. So again, we're going to be hooking up the mains going to the crossover and the outs going from this mixer to our powered speakers that are monitors. Again, we don't have a setup with the beauty of it is when we go on tour, we use powered monitors, which are a little heavier because the amplifier's in them. But again, we have our different sets here of powered monitors, which we'll get to in a few minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to hook up. This is a very basic hookup. Okay, so as you can see, we're in the tracking room here at the school. You can see all our chairs all piled up here. Okay, so easy, super easy. Cable says main outputs right here. Main output. Okay, so I'm going to use left, which is what? Blue, because it's easy to remember. And then for right is red. Okay, so we can see very visually right, blue. Okay, red, blue, right, left. Okay, so that's going where? Yes, it's going to the inputs of the crossover. So the input left is blue, input right is red, so in essence, this is channel 1, odd is always left, even is right, channel 2. Okay, so that's what's being sent to the crossover. Okay, so now we'll send some cables to our powered monitors. You need to get them. Okay, so you can see right now our cables, our left, right, main outs are going to the crossover. So now what we're going to do is send it to the powered speakers. Again, when we look at this, we have our mics in, our line in. We have our inserts, which is here, which is very straightforward, 16 channels, very easy to understand. Okay, so then what we have also is our aux outs right here, auxiliary outs. Let's get this over a bit, maybe. Okay, so it's aux out. So what we're doing is in number 1, that's going to be our first one. Aux out number 1 is going to go to our first powered speaker. And then the other one, we're only going to use 2 today. We could use up to how many? 6, right, because we have what? We have 6 outputs from the aux outputs. So, which is cool because sometimes you could use actually 6 different powered speakers, and which gives you some really refined monitor mixes. Okay, obviously the monitor mixes have different kinds. The good thing about the particular distinct PreSonus and really the X32, which we did not get to use because we were not able to go on tour, because you know why. Okay, and so what we're going to do is go into number 2. Okay, that'll be for our second monitor that we're going to use today. Okay, so we have 2 different types. They're both JBLs. We'll do one at a time. Okay, so now I'm going to go over and hook up number 1 to its appropriate speaker. Be back in a second. Okay, so here's the input of this particular powered speaker, okay, which is where it says input right here. This is coming out of channel 1. Okay, now the thing is that this could actually send a signal out, like you could daisy chain these together. The other real critical thing about setting these power amps, since they're powered, you have, again, you have the volume control here, and you have also a signal where it says mic or line processing. Okay, so if it's plugged in, and set for mic, it's going to be quite a bit louder. So you have to make sure that when you first start these, you always have them down, and then you gradually bring them up in terms of your volume. Okay, so right now they're set for mic line, not line in, mic in, which is going to be more of a powerful signal. We have our cool red light here. Okay, so you can see right there, that's where we plug them in. Okay, so that just gets plugged in. And again, you can daisy chain these, getting into power is on. I don't have it on right now, but that's, for turning the speaker on. So that's number 1. Okay, so we would plug in like that. So I'll set up number 2 right now, our 2 different monitors. Okay, so this is the JBL gray that we're using. Usually we use these on the floor, and because you can also tilt them back. I'll demonstrate that. Here's our JBLs, kind of in that setting. We usually kind of have them facing the artist like that. Okay, so that would be number 1. Okay, hooked into aux output number 1. Okay, so here's our other setup here. Again, this is the channel 2 output. Again, it's not color coded or anything like that. Okay, so right now what we're doing is we're plugging it into our input, which is kind of a dual input, can actually use a TRS in. Okay, we're hooking this up. I don't know if you noticed when I plugged in the outputs of that mixer. Basically, what we have is TRS coming, out of the mixer, and we use an XLR. They're just basically the same but different connectors. Okay, so again, we would use this in. Okay, this one actually has 2 inputs, which is kind of interesting. So you could almost use it like a kind of mini PA, and it even has, I think, some actual effects on it. But right now we're just using a dry. And so again, this is our input gain, which we need to make sure it's low when we first start. And then we have the limiter on here, master, kind of a master volume, a limit. Now we don't have a limiter. We basically have a limit feature in case the signal gets too hot. Okay, so this is our master volume for the 2 channels. This is just the signal that is coming in from that one channel. And that's all we want for our thing here. Again, here's our plug for powering it up. I don't have it in right now. And so again, I'll show you, this is the other JBLs. Generally, these JBLs here are on stands, and they're usually what they call side fills. So we're using them to fill the sides when we are playing. So, okay, here's again how this looks from here. Okay, we have our JBL kind of like that. And so here's our two monitor systems. Okay, so our wedge, floor wedge coming out of one, and our monitor here, which is going to be a side fill on a stand. Okay, so there we go. That's hooking up the monitors. We could add as many monitors, obviously, as we want. So hey guys, that's the video there for hooking up, again, the PA to the main outs, going to the crossover, and going to the monitor system, our side fills, and the floor wedges. And right now, okay, we're set up. Next thing we can do is to be able to actually use the mixer and show you, using, the mixer and sending those signals to different places. And man, then the other thing is that we did when we were doing our band is we had the snake hooked up. But this would work right directly if I just hooked the microphone directly into like channel 1 on here and had a microphone. I could send it to all these different places and we could see, it working in action. And so, okay, so that's video 3, and I'll see you guys soon.